and boom. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I don't know if I ever actually introduced myself when I started making these videos, but my name is Daryl, aka Daka St. Mark. I am the founder and chief sewist of St. Mark Vintage Clothing, where we specialize in thrifted, upcycled, vintage, and custom couture for everybody. So we're back with another video today. So here's what I've got going on. So I have a fun project that I'm about to work on. I'm excited for it, so I'm gonna get right into it. I have a coworker, a friend of mine, who really wanted to upcycle a fashion piece of hers into something more usable. And I'll show you exactly what that is. If you look behind me right here, this item right here is what she gave me. So this is actually the lining of a trench coat. So she told me that she had a favorite aunt of hers, I believe, that had great sense of style, had an amazing vintage London fog trench coat that she passed down to her. Now the coat somewhere got lost along the lines, but the lining she was able to keep. And the lining is great. It's 100% wool. It's this beautiful kind of like herringbone pattern, red, blue, green, black, beautiful color. Some of the details right here. And she's like, I really want to use this for something. I don't have another jacket that I can kind of put it inside of, but can you help? Can you upcycle it into something usable? So I said, yeah, like this is really awesome. And London Fog is a great brand. It's a heritage brand. It's been around for quite some time. And they make amazing trench coats and weatherwear and all types of other stuff. So it's quality. So I said, okay, well, what can we do? What fun things can we make out of this? How can we repurpose, you know, the lining of this trench coat and turn it into something that you can actually use? So I've been on this bag kick lately. If you haven't realized, I've made a couple bags. I did a video with cleaning bags. You can watch that at the pinned card up here. But why not make a bag? She loves tote bags. She loves purses. So let's make a purse out of it. I'm going to use this bag as a template. It's going to be about this size. I may even do a similar shape, but it's going to be a little mini tote bag that she can use and carry around every day. So we're going to walk through that process today and see how we do it. All right, first thing that we're going to do is we're going to measure out the bag. So I'm going to go ahead and start from the bottom here. I'm going to measure that out, and it's looking like it is just at 9 inches across on the bottom, and then from top down it's about 8.5 actually, just at 8.5. So we've got a 9 by 8.5 inch bag. It's almost a full square, but it's not. Now what we're going to also do is we're going to measure right here underneath. We're going to measure the depth, or the width I should say, probably. And that's about 3 inches, as you can see here. So we got about 3 inches here. It's about 3 inches wide. I say 8.5 inches from top to bottom, 9 inches, excuse me, across. So we're going to take those measurements. We're going to just transfer them over to some paper. So we've got our 3 measurements here. The length is 9 inches, the width is 3 inches, the height is 8.5 inches. So there is our measurements. I know some people like to do things in centimeters. I am definitely an inches person. You can make the conversion however you would like to, whatever is easiest for you. We also want to make sure that we are including in this is a 5/8 seam allowance. So that way we are able to stay true to these measurements and still actually sew everything together. Okay, so to make this tote bag, you really only need 4 main pattern pieces. It's really easy. So I'll walk you through each of those. I already drafted them out, but they're very simple measurements, but I'll show you how many pieces you need. First, you need an outside. So this is gonna be outside of your bag. So the 2 sides, you're gonna do 2 of those. Measurements are 9 inches by 5 inches. And you'll need the bottom, which is gonna be the bottom of your bag. You'll need one of those, 9 inches by 6.5 inches. These will be your straps, 11 inches by 3 inches. You'll cut 2 of them. And then last you have a pocket. This pocket is optional. Ignore this line here, but this is 5 inches by 5.5 inches tall. You'll only need one of these. This can either go on the inside of the bag, like in the lining, or it can go on the outside. It's really up to you. I'm gonna use this for the inside of the bag. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is actually deconstruct this lining. So I'm just going in with a pair of scissors, really just going in where the seams are and taking everything off. Taking off those sleeves, cutting apart the back from the sides, because we want a flat piece of fabric that we can use to cut out all the different shapes of this bag. Next, I'm going on my seam ripper, because remember we have to use that London Fog tag in the front. So I'm going on my seam ripper, taking that off, and we're going to reattach it later. Now we can go ahead and start cutting out our fabric with our pattern pieces. The good thing about this bag is that it's really only 4 simple geometric pattern piece shapes, so you don't have to worry about cutting at weird angles and everything like that. And because of the way that the actual plaid is on the fabric, we can have some different kind of wiggle room for how we want it to go. Because it's going to be a front and a back, simply all we have to do is just fold it in half. Everything will line up and you don't have to worry about trying to match, plaids and everything like that. And another good thing, because this is wool, it's the same on both sides. So you don't have to worry about figuring out which side is the side with the nap, which side is the side that's smooth. This particular lining was the same on both sides. And even if I messed up and it actually wasn't, it's virtually indiscernible. So all good there. Now, because this is a elevated bag, I'm going to be using some recycled leather that I have. I have this beautiful blue color, and I think it matches really well with the colors in the plaid. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out just the straps and the bottom of the bag from this piece of leather. This bag has some shape to it, right? And actually keeps the shape that we cut out. So we're using this fusible interfacing from Pellon. I just discovered it because every time I was making bags before, I couldn't figure out how to get them stiff without using some type of cardboard backing. And they have this really cool, super thick interfacing. And all you do is that you cut out the shape that you want. You sandwich it in between 2 of the fabric pieces that you want to do. There's no front or back because you're sandwiching it in between. So you're just going to put it there. You're going to hit that iron and just iron it on. This is really going to create that structure that I'm looking for on the sides of the bag. I want the bag to be able to, stand up by itself, keep its shape, and, be sturdy, basically. So this is really going to help that. And you'll see right here, I'm just ironing out everything. Got that steam coming off. That's how you know it's hitting. And then, boom, super firm and ready for action. Now I'm just going in and taking that London Fog tag and I'm stitching it onto the front of the bag. Boom. And we're in there. Now I'm just taking 2 strips of the leather and I'm cutting it in half. And then I'm going to fold that over in half again. And I'm going to put it onto the machine and then just stitch it down as an edge stitch. And this is what we're going to make the handles of the bag out of. Now, this leather that I'm using is, like I said, recycled leather. It's super soft and very supple, really easy to kind of work with. It has a great feel to it. But as you can see, I'm working on a heavy-duty Singer machine and not a leather working machine. So while it looks like this is gliding through like butter, when I tell you I broke minimum 5 needles doing this project, just working with the leather alone, it was too much. I don't know. And I was using like a leather needle. I was using denim needles. I was just switching back and forth just to get it to go. And it was just a lot. So this bag was definitely a labor of love, a lot of trial and error. And I learned a lot of things while doing it. But we got it together. So now, as you can see right here, I've got the handles attached to the fronts of the bag. And what I'm doing now is I'm going through with my clips and I'm clipping everything together because I really want all of my seams to line up properly so that we have a nice finished product. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch around those edges where you see the clips are, because we need to leave an opening at the top so that we can open the bag. But we also want to make sure that we have everything secure on the sides. And this is just me making some marks on the corners of the bag, because when we flip it inside out, we want everything to be flush on the edges. So we're just going to mark about 1/2 inch in, clip it on both sides, and that will give us a nice flat bottom. All right, that was the end of night 1, and now we're back on the next day. So what we're working on today is working on the inner pocket, and then we're going to be working on the lining as well. So all I'm doing is taking some more of that plaid fabric. I've already measured out a pocket that I want. Because this bag is actually a little smaller than my initial measurements because of how everything is sewed down, I decided to hand draft, the pocket, which is really simple to do. So I'm just cutting out that square now, and then I'll put my hand tag on it, and I'll sew that into the inside of the bag. So now we've got our bag outer, and we've got our inner with the lining. And all we did was use the same measurements for lining as the outer. So to put these two things together, you're gonna take your lining piece, you're gonna flip it inside out. You see how we have these 2 marks here? We've made identical marks on the actual outside of the bag. You're actually just gonna line those up. This is gonna help you keep everything secure, keep everything straight, so you know exactly where you're sewing, and that when you flip it inside out, or right sides out I should say, it's going to be right. I should also let you know that you're going to want the outside of your bag to be facing right side out and your lining to be facing inside. So it's definitely just 2 fronts touching together. That's how you want this to do. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to stitch all across the top. So where I'm pointing right here, that's where we're stitching on both sides. Now, before you do that, you don't want to make the mistake of stitching your handles outside. So take your handles and go ahead and turn them into your lining. That way you miss them and you have enough space, and you're just going to stitch along the top. Okay, this is day 3. Good morning. How y'all doing? So, what I did do, like I said, I finished and stitched down the top like I did the other night. Now what we have to do is flip this bag inside out. So I'm going to that side seam. I'm actually going to seam rip it open. and I'm gonna pull the front out from the inside. So this is why it was really important to have your handles placed properly, because you want everything to just be a smooth transition. And so as you pull the outside of the bag to the front, this is what you'll end up with. And it's pretty much done at that point. But we've got some finishing things to do. Went to work, came home, and now we're back. So now I'm just stitching closed, that lining opening that we had. So we stitched that down. And now we're just getting everything nice and flat within the bag, make sure everything lines up the way we want it to, seeing how it all goes, and then we're gonna do our finishing touches. I got these nice D-rings because I want the bag to not only be a tote, but also have a crossbody strap. So I'm just taking some more of those extra pieces of leather and I'm cutting them down to size to create the loopholes that we'll put on the side of the bag in order to put the D-rings on. Now we're just doing a final check. As you can see, I got everything stitched and tacked down. I did add in a metal closure on the inside so that the bag closes up and stays closed by itself. And if you see, I got those D-rings on and I added a nice chain for the crossbody. And now we're ready to give it to our client. Yeah. Zooming in on the details. This is Elisha. Elisha, how do you feel about your bag?
I love my bag.
I'm so glad.
Gorgeous.
I'm so glad. It looks great. She color coordinated and everything today.
And if you want to go crossbody.
Yes. See, versatility. Versatility.